Hi everyone. Hi Marie. Mwah. So nice to see you. So lovely
I've got
to see
my
you.
lippy on just for
You've
you.
got your lippy on. I've got my lippy on. How
But I
fabulous
thought
of
you were
you.
going to makeup and hair and lighting.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did try and arrange for makeup to come round to your house, but as you're in Manchester, it was a little bit hard work getting somebody to Manchester. Oh, so nice to see you, Marie. And thanks for coming on. No Kev this week. No Kevlar.
Oh, you've only just told me that. I thought I was going to get to see my boy.
Oh, your boyfriend. No Kev this week. So he'll probably be watching us later and wondering how we're getting on without him. So as you know,
It's free, Gobby. I nearly said
he nearly did it then, didn't you? No, absolutely. He wouldn't have got a word in edgeways with us two, for sure.
No.
So he can sit back whilst he's on his cruise ship and watch us and go, there's my girls.
Just reminded me of a time when we were out having lunch somewhere when he was between two shows and he had to leave the table because he said there was far too much boobage at the table. He couldn't quite cope. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but there it is. It's out there.
There we go. He was overwhelmed with the cleavage that was at the table. Well, you know what? Absolute. That's what happens when you knock about with glamorous women like us. Absolutely. You're always going to get excessive cleavage, I'm afraid.
I suspect that he would deny that ever happened.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be shy of the cleavage now. That's for sure.
Sorry, should we stay on topic?
Oh no, we're off already. So anyway, if anybody's watching and wondering what the heck we're talking about cleavage, we're not here to talk about cleavage today. What we're here to talk about are sober holidays. So as you know, or may not know, we run a tiny little charity in Brighton called Kennedy Street. And since the pandemic's hit, what we've been doing is operating a helpline, a national helpline, helping people, support people, those with their hands up for recovery, to connect really with recovery solutions in the community. And we connect people all over the country with a variety of different sober solutions in their area. So if people are looking for different fellowships, if they're looking for treatment, if they're looking for government funded treatment or private treatment, or they might be looking for recovery led projects. But what we try to do is respond with these talks to some of the inquiries that we've had coming in via the helpline. And recently we've had quite a lot of phone calls from people who have got sober during lockdown, and now we're coming out of lockdown. They're a little bit anxious about going on holiday. Well, a lot anxious. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to my lovely friend, my personal friend from Manchester, Marie. Marie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about how we met?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'll say before I do all that, because you've given me room to talk about myself, my friends, is say what I really like about the charity is the fact that it's so multidimensional, that it's not just you're not trying to funnel people into one, it's not one size fits all, and from my experience, it's really hard to get started or to inquire and for it to be not non-threatening, and that's what I do love about the charity. So that's just me saying what I think. And so about me, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a sober alcoholic, and I've been sober since the 27th of August 2002. I know. So I don't know. Some people don't talk about their sobriety dates. Some people celebrate it. I absolutely celebrate it because it's been hard fought, hard won. And ironically, as we're talking about holidays, I actually had my last drink on the island of Ibiza. And it was at the end of it was the final day of a family holiday that I'd absolutely ruined with my drinking. I had at the time, as you know, Claire, 2 small children. They were 6 and 3 at the time. I was married, and I wasn't a textbook drunk. I didn't drink during the day. Even on that holiday, we were in an all-inclusive hotel, and I didn't drink during the course of the day. I started drinking in the evenings as we went for our evening meal. But I was a proper alcoholic, and for me that was, once I started, I couldn't stop. And I had my last drink. Well, I didn't know it was my last drink. I often think if I'd known it was my last drink, I probably would have had another one. I had that last drink, and I won't go into all the detail, but I woke up the next morning and felt like something had broken inside, and I made a commitment to myself that was it. I felt broken, and there'd been in terms of your charity and seeking help, I've done things like phone Samaritans and said things to Samaritans like, my husband thinks I'm an alcoholic, and the woman said, "What do you think?" And I said, "You cheeky cow, put the phone down." Well, you know me really well, and you know that's kind of classic me. It's like, how dare you, So I was broken, and I didn't know it because I had all these reasons. There's so many myths about addiction. I had all these reasons why I wasn't an alcoholic. Like, the kids are in school on time, and I don't drink vodka, and I don't hide bottles around the house, and the mortgage is up to date, and we've got 2 cars, and all this. There was all this confusion, and again, that's why having somebody like you to maybe ring and say, "Oh, what about this?" and and this feel right, and it's great. But for me, I made this decision, and I knew a little bit about Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's how I've got sober and stayed sober. But I didn't know what to do, and again, in terms of the theme, I didn't drink during the course of that day, and we flew home that night, and there's the very first thing, the minutiae of being sober. I absolutely did not know that it was physically possible for a drinks trolley to go past and not order a gin and tonic or 2 gin and tonics, because you're on holiday, aren't you? And it's legitimate, and it doesn't matter what time it is. If there's a drinks trolley, that's what you do. You get the credit card out and you tap it. Well, you didn't tap it in those days because it was such a long time ago. I'm glad to say it wasn't in the time of the Rick Rack machines. Do you remember them? Oh, God, you can tell I worked in the credit card industry. So I got home, and as I got into AA, and I struggled. I didn't ever have a drink after that. But early sobriety wasn't fun, and learning to live a sober life wasn't fun. But I did find in fellowship a way of not drinking and then rebuilding a life. And in terms of that, I've watched my children grow up. I'm going to go on about them. I always do. My children are incredible human beings, and I ascribe that to the fact that they have a mum in recovery. My son is 22, and every single time he sees me, he tells me he loves me, and that melts my heart, and it makes him get away with all sorts. But he does love me. He loves me to the core of my being, and I love him to the core of his being. And my daughter is 25, and she's an absolute warrior woman. She's she's a huge advocate for recovery, and she's the child of an alcoholic, and she has no stigma at all around alcoholism. And I will tell you one little tale. I tell lots of tales about my daughter, and she knows this. She knows how proud I am of her. On her first day at university, in when she met her whole cohort. She had a bit of a look round, and she was looking to see who she might make friends with, and she spotted one girl, and she thought, oh, she looks interesting, out of the whole cohort. And a number of weeks later, they were having a pint. You know, my kids drink normally, and they get drunk, and I have drink in the house, and you know, we have a normal life, we have fun, and sometimes they have a couple of drinks, and my daughter will have a cup of tea, and I don't know how you do that. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But getting back to the story, these two young women at the age of 18 were sitting chatting, and I'm not quite sure which way it went round, but one said something, and the other went, "Is your mum in recovery?" And out of the whole cohort, Emily had spotted the other child who had a mum in recovery, and that's what I love about the recovery family, because we absolutely are a family full of dysfunctional people. I nearly said another swear word then. It's full of dysfunctional people, but somehow we find each other, and some kind of mystical, magical, spiritual, call it what you want, something happens, and that kind of is what happened with me and you. I remember the first time you scooped me up and took me to a coffee shop with the wonderful Shuey, and you talked to me about how I might like to have a little bit of routine and a little bit of structure, and you know, and even as I'm saying it, I'm having the same reaction as I had then. I was doing pelvic floor exercises. I was squirming inside because my life was utter chaos. And I saw you, and you were composed, and you were controlled, and you were talking about going home to your husband to cook a meal, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And as you know, I cried. I was broken. I cried, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter how great my facade had been, you know, that I was a slap on my thigh, you know, happy-go-lucky, there's always fun around Marie. To the outside world, that wasn't what it was like inside. And you know, recovery's great. Come on in. The water's really warm. It's lovely. It's not the easiest of things, but it is wonderful. And you know, I always say, if I thought for 1 second that drinking would be worth it, I would have been out there, because I had some great times in my drinking. But I tell you what, I have great times now. Every bit of fun that I thought I was having in my drinking, I have in spades and buckets. See what I did there?
I love it.
I have in buckets and spades now, and I don't wake up with guilt and shame and remorse and regret. It's wonderful.
Oh, it's so lovely to hear you, and I've missed seeing you, and I've missed speaking to you. I know we do catch up with one another often, but it's so lovely to hear you, and just to be reminded of, you know, how far you've come and what recovery's given you, and how you don't. I mean, you might do a little bit of squirming around the promise of routine and order, but I know for sure you embrace recovery with both hands.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
And you know, I think it's really important, you know, that obviously what we try and do with these talks is celebrate recovery, and you know, showcase the fact that actually it isn't about being. It is tough, like you said. More, you know, the reality of it is we've got to find a new way to live life without this anesthetic or these anesthetics that we've used. But then what happens is our world starts to open up again, and you know, things like holidays. I don't know if you remember your first sober holiday, or the prospect of going on your first sober holiday. What was that like, Marie, when you first contemplated?
I was scared. I was so scared. So I went with a plan. I didn't execute it, but I didn't drink. I went with a plan, and my plan, you know, I had all these rules. But actually, what happened was, I quite relaxed. We went to Spain, and I think we went in the October, and we just had a week. Myself, my husband, and the two children. And my husband was a drinker, and he was a big drinker. You know, and that, I think that's something that that concerns people, and it certainly concerned me. Um, but you know, you know, we we we'd been out socially before then, so you know that wasn't going to be any different. But what I noticed was, and it was I don't even have the words. It was gobsmackingly amazing that not everybody was drunk on holiday, because as far as I was concerned, when I was on holiday, everybody was as drunk as I was, and they surely can't have been, because they never have been since.
It's such a shocker, that, isn't it? I couldn't actually quite believe that not everybody was swinging off the optics. It was staggering. How many drunk people did you see on your first sober holiday?
I swear it was the evening before we came home. I saw one tiddly granny, and she was probably about this big, and she probably had about 3 sherries, and her family were like, "Sit down," you know. It was like a real cartoon moment. It was a tiddly granny, and that was the only time I saw, I saw somebody like a bit worse for wear. Now, we'd gone to a family resort, it's not like we'd not gone to a, you know, I'm thinking of Magaluf. I don't know why I'm thinking about it, but we hadn't gone to that kind of place. But genuinely, as far as I'm concerned, every single place that I'd been to in all my previous kind of sunshiny, family break type holiday, and obviously that can't have been the case. It was mystical to me.
Yeah.
Mystical to me.
Do you think it's part of our delusion? Part of our delusion when we're in active addiction, that we think everybody else is doing the same as us?
Well, I think it's part of the justification, isn't it? I'm on holiday, I'm doing this, and to make it okay, it's like everybody else must be doing it. And it's part of the denial as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you were on holiday, and obviously since then, I know you've been on like hundreds of sober holidays, but did you notice? I know you love life. I know you love life to the max, and I know you're an avid traveller. But did you notice on that trip anything other than the drunken granny, and there was only one of them? Did you notice anything else different about the holiday?
I noticed that I was more relaxed. That I didn't, I used to go on holidays, and I'm going to say one bad word. I used to sit there and I used to think, because I was so depressed because of the alcohol. I just used to think, oh, same shit, different thing. I don't, I wasn't that a thing, but that's what I used to think. I was just like, I didn't enjoy my life. I was enduring my life with alcohol at that point. Towards the end, unless I was putting the show on. But inside I wasn't enjoying it, and on that holiday, I think we've got a little bit of video. On that holiday, I was genuinely connected with my kids. Not so much with my husband, because the marriage didn't survive. But we were trying, I was genuinely, we played crazy golf, and I actually enjoyed it. I wasn't thinking, I need to get out of here because it's time to drink.
Yeah.
I really, I was living in the moment. We do have some quite twee expressions in recovery, don't we? And I think before if you're contemplating stopping drinking, and you hear people who are evangelical like I am, and I know that I am, and I don't want to apologize for being evangelical, because it is amazing. But I think if you're on the outside looking in, it can be like, oh, you were playing crazy golf with your kids. But But when you've not been able to connect with your children because drink's been in the way of it, and you actually get that feeling, it is quite wonderful.
It's transformational. It's the first time that you connect, isn't it, really, with your kids, with yourself, with the environment that you're in. I remember going on, one of those safaris. We went to Mexico, me and Kev, our first holiday. I spent 2 months beside myself with worry, because we'd booked this holiday when we were still both in active addiction. And it was an all-inclusive holiday to Mexico. And I swear to God, the fear and worry and anxiety that I had was unbelievable. I thought, like I said, everybody was going to be swinging off especially with it being all-inclusive. I would have been drinking from morning till night, and maybe stopped at, to sleep for a couple of hours and then got up. Because for me, that it was you were allowed to drink in the morning on an all-inclusive, because you had to get your money's worth.
I was just going to say exactly the same. You've got to get FM, value for money.
And you know something? Honestly, 2 months I spent worrying about what was going to happen, and not one of those worries or concerns actually happened. I think, looking back now, I think me and Kevin were probably maybe the only two that were swinging off the optics in most of our holiday situations. Or we might have found a few other people that were like us that we gravitated towards.
Yeah. And then you become the people that other people avoid.
Yes. Yeah.
Because when you see those people now, you can see there's like a little group, maybe 4, 6, 8, couples who like a drink. There's a euphemism for you. They like a drink. Or drink likes them. And the rest of the kind of cohort of holiday makers are getting on with having a lovely holiday, and then there's this gang of people who are drinking, and fair play to them, let them get on with it. I'm not part of the temperance society. I think, for those who can enjoy their drink, you crack on and love it, but there is, you can, as a bystander, you can see what happens. One thing, I guess, that I really would like to say, as somebody who doesn't drink now, and somebody who used to worry about what will people think about me not having a drink, people do not give one hoot, let alone two. And you know what I really want to say? People don't give. Like, people generally don't give a monkey's about whether you're drinking or not. So many times I've practiced and rehearsed, like I've got all this ammunition about what I'm going to say, maybe I'm on antibiotics, and I just, somebody in the fellowship just said to me, Marie, what I say to somebody when they say, what would you like to drink? She's taught me to say, what I'd really like is, and then say what you'd like to drink, because you've already put in somebody's mind they're going to please you by getting this drink, So that was the first thing, and I thought that was a really useful tip. And then if people say, "Oh, you're not drinking," just say, "No, I don't want to. It's not for me." Or and generally, if people do press you on it, it's those who like a drink themselves.
I was one of those people. I would have pressed you. I'd have been going, "Are you okay? Are you on antibiotics? Are you dying?" I remember asking somebody once if they were dying on the day because they didn't drink like me, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you really poorly? Have you been told some terrible news?" I couldn't comprehend at all. But I think what's important, I think for me, obviously at the very beginning, I needed to plan my holidays. And on this note, so I've invited Joe from CA, from Cocaine Anonymous. It's one of the 12-step fellowships. There are many 12-step fellowships around the world, never mind, just in the UK. But and that's why I invited Joe to come along, because a lot of people don't understand the level of support that is available. If you are on holiday. So what I'm going to do, forgive me, I've not got my technical man here today, so I'm just going to add the lovely Joe. There he is, little white dot. Are you with us, Joe? Are you on microphone, or are you working in the background? Are you there, Joe?
No, I'm on a microphone.
Oh, hello, Joe. How are you?
The audio quality isn't so hot. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
I'm good.
You're a little
I
bit,
Okay, that's
sort
good
of,
because
but you're okay. We can hear you okay. Do you want to introduce yourself, Joe?
yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try rejoining. I'm going
Oh,
to try
okay.
rejoining. 2 seconds.
All right, lovely. Oh, he's gone. He's gone again. He'll come back again. Yeah, so Joe's going to come back. What?
I would just say, you know, in terms of what you were just saying, you know, I have been to meetings all over the world, and it's such a great way of meeting either locals or other people who are traveling. And I, as you know, I recently spent a year in Ireland, and it was just a fantastic way to get to know other people. And I was just talking to my son just before I came upstairs. I'm in my bedroom, about going to a meeting in Australia, and I've been traveling for 3 weeks. And I kind of had enough of my companion, and I as I walked towards the fellowship room, the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting that I was going to, and I saw the scrolls that they have on the wall. You know, if you've not ever been to a meeting, you may well have seen meetings on TV shows or radio. Well, you won't have seen them on radio shows, but you know, as I walked towards that room and saw through the window those scrolls, and I knew that I'd be going into a fellowship meeting, the sense of relief that came over me, and I knew that I would get a welcome, and I did, was just phenomenal. It was in Tasmania, and we'll never forget it.
Wow. And that is the beautiful thing, isn't it? These meetings that we talk of, like you're I'm talking about AA, and Joe's going to come on hopefully when he gets his mic sorted and talk about CA, and Al-Anon and Narcotics Anonymous and all of the amazing fellowships. Smart Recovery, they're a global phenomena. You know, they're all over the world. These meetings.
My ambition, I've never been to America yet, but my ambition is to go to a meeting in New York. How fancy pants would that be?
I've been. It's amazing, honestly. And I think that for those of you who are watching who don't know really what we're talking about, these meetings are self-help meetings. They're not therapy. I mean, a therapeutic process is involved because you're doing a lot of, self-reflection, and but you get to meet some of the most amazing people in the whole world.
I've just thought of another little travel story. I was sitting having breakfast in a B&B in Ireland, a quirky little place. It was actually above a supermarket, believe it or not. And I was sitting quietly, eavesdropping because I'm so nosy. And there were some Americans at the next table. And I could tell by what the lady was saying that she was talking from she was an AA, and she was talking to her friend who was also in AA about a lady that she was supporting, she was sponsoring. And when she went to go and get something further from the buffet, I went over to the buffet and I just said to her, I'm a friend of Bill and Bob, which is kind of our code word for saying I'm in there. It was just the most wonderful. It was just wonderful. I was just sat eating my breakfast, and there it was, recovery right next to me.
It's true. It's true. Once you know what you're looking for, and once you know what you're listening for, you do start to spot recovery all over. So Joe's back now. He's managed to sort his mic. Are you there, Joe?
Ooh. I am.
Oh,
yeah. I hope you can
Hi,
hear me
lovely.
okay.
We can hear. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Kind of. If this was the
Your
1950s.
I was going to say your audio is really funny. I don't know if you've got. Can you unplug the microphone?
You know what? Yeah. What can I do?
I don't know. Are you on earphones? Are you there? This is the joy of live streaming. Are you there, Joe?
Yes.
Oh, that's.
This isn't working.
Is it bad your end?
Sorry.
Don't
I've tried
worry.
driving to another area. I've tried rebooting my phone. I've closed all the other apps. I've done everything I can.
You seem to be okay when you actually speak. So maybe if I put my... Is it noisy your end, Marie, or is it just me listening to it?
It's crackly, yeah.
Quite quickly. Okay.
Well, if you try both, let's try both all muting, and then see how it goes. Is that okay?
Yeah. So Marie, if you mute, I'll mute, and then Joe, you introduce yourself.
Yeah. And then just give me the thumbs up in a minute if it's working. Okay. Okay. So my name's Joe. I'm an addict. I'm from CA, which is Cocaine Anonymous. I've no. Claire.
Nice to see. Well, not nice to see, but nice to hear you, Joe. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. What I'm going to do, Joe, I'm going to mute you while I speak because I can't concentrate and hear your crackling because you seem to crackle more when I speak. So Joe has come along kindly to tell us a little bit about. So Marie and I were talking earlier about how we would plan our holidays. Excuse me, and come up with a plan of action. So Joe's going to talk a little bit about that. Joe, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Claire. So yes, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate everything that you do. I've loved listening to you, Marie.
Completely gone now, and I'm having a sneezing fit. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I've put cocaine. If you look across the bottom of the screen, I've put Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. So those are the main fellowships that are international, which you can go to meetings to whilst you're abroad. Oh, was that me then making? Oh, Joe's back. Joe, are you there? Are you there, Joe?
Yes, I am.
What's going on? Where are you from?
Application crashed.
Oh dear. So tell us a little bit about Cocaine Anonymous. Okay. Tell us a bit about Cocaine Anonymous, if you don't mind.
Right. I presume I'm meant to speak now. It's all gone a bit garbled. So my name's Joe, Cocaine Anonymous, 12-step program. Yeah, so what a recovery gives you is obviously the ability to be here and to be free. And I genuinely wake up happy every day and I go to sleep happy every day. I've got a lovely family and there's a lot of love in the house, and it's all being brought about by the fact that I've managed to put the drink and the drugs down. I have to put some context on it, that when I was on drugs, I was an awful tramp. You know, it was just a gribbly, horrible little life, consumed in fear and resentments, and I find a problem with everything and anything, but never myself. And even at work, I thought that everyone was a misery and they're all haters. And through doing the 12 steps, I've actually realized that a lot of that was just me and my awful ways and my awful behaviors. So now that I'm clean and I'm free, I haven't touched alcohol or drugs in nearly 5 years. And one of the most beautiful things is something like this weekend, where we're going away for the weekend, we're going on a short holiday, and we're going to get the engagement ring so that I can marry my partner, which is a very beautiful thing. I do have to say, when you're going abroad, you know, all the little network you've built up and all the support and everything you lean on and all your routines and everything that keeps you busy and out of self, if you like, it's all, you think it's all going to be taken away. And that's part of the fear. And that's actually what will get you, is the fear of the unknown, if nothing else. So one of the first things I would implore people is to do a bit of work while they're still at home and understand that there's what's called fellowships all around you. And that fellowship is people in the likes of Cocaine Anonymous or AA or all these different fellowships. I only know the 12 steps. And what they do, they all help each other. And actually that's central to our program, is getting out of ourselves and being selfish and self-seeking and self-centered by helping other people. And what you'll find is that if you reach out to people and get some advice or go to Smart Recovery and get some tools to help you. You'll find that when you go abroad, there's also fellowships there. And to give you one example, I went to Amsterdam and there was all the fellowships there, all the fellowships we have in England, which were on based. And I went along and I planned my day, which I'll come to in a second, but I went along to a 12-step meeting and everyone reached out with open arms. They're very pleased to see me, had a coffee and a chit chat with people. They gave me advice as to what I should see on holiday. They gave me phone numbers. They wanted to take me on little tours. They wanted to do anything they could.
You've disappeared, Joe. Sorry, are you there? Are you there? You've cut out, Joe, if you can hear me. Oh, it's coming in another device now. Oh, what's going on? Are you there? Are you there? I feel like I'm having a seance or something. Are you there, Joe?
Right, where did we get to?
Oh, you know you're on camera.
Was the audio quality good enough?
The audio quality is okay. The audio quality is okay.
Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't matter that much, but okay. All right, sound. So yes, Amsterdam, presumably.
Yeah, we got up to Amsterdam. Tell us about your experience of going to meetings in Amsterdam.
Yes, I'm going to keep this short for obvious reasons. So I just want to say to you guys that I've been abroad to Malta, I've been to Dubai, I've been all over the shop, clean and very happy. And my advice would be to do a little bit of research, find out whether there's any fellowships that you can get to know back at home, such as Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, any of the anything you can to get some support and help. And also plan your days a bit, especially the first few days on landing, what you're going to do. And one of the big tips is have a reason to get out of bed and to get out there early in the morning. You know, fill your days full of the pleasures and joys of freedom. Enjoy the places you're staying, keep busy, and find your little routines when you're over there. You know, you'll meet people and be very clear about the kind of people that you want to hang out with. Are these nice people? Are they good people? Do they have the right intentions? And just have a lovely time. The biggest fear is going to be the fear of the unknown. And actually, if you travel to Birmingham, you'll probably feel quite safe because you know it and you know what to expect. If you're traveling to Malaga, you're going to know what to expect. It's just the same really as Birmingham, except it's a bit more sunny. And even in the likes of Dubai, you know, completely alien to me, the size and the scale and everything else. Just that human to human connection of nice people, the fellowship that's there, keeping busy in the morning, focusing on the healthy things that I like to do, importing as much of my routine, such as going to the gym, going for a swim, enjoying walking, doing some photography, keeping in touch with loved ones. And the last thing I want to touch upon before it kicks me out again is the fact that have a friend back at home who knows your situation, who wants to help you and has your best intentions in mind, and keep in touch with them. Let them call you out on some seemingly irrelevant decisions, shall we say. You know, I'm going clubbing tonight, I'm going with strangers, etc., etc. Have someone there that is your kind of emergency contact and your confidant, someone that can do some of the planning with you beforehand and getting excited for you and can reassure you, someone that's texting you saying, have you landed yet? Someone that you can send photographs and show them what a great time you'll have. And you will have a great time. But the bets aren't all off as long as you do some pre-planning. It's just like a meeting at work, for example, or if you do your planning before you go there, if you do a little bit of homework, you'll feel armed up and you'll feel tooled up. If nothing else, just that little shield of confidence that everything's going to be okay. Focus on being good. Focus on being nice. And yeah, the world will reflect that. I'm going to go there because the connection for myself is awful. I have tried to go and do everything I can, but
amazing. Thank you.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you
I love
so
you,
much.
Marie. I'm going to love you and leave you.
Oh,
take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you. And thank you for coming and sharing with us sort of the ease with which people can get some support whilst they're away. And like I said, there's loads of support. You can go to the Cocaine Anonymous website. You can ring them up. The same with AA, the same with NA, and also the same with the family fellowship. So if you're a family member, I really want to reiterate this. And, if you're going on holiday and you're a family member and your partner could still be in active addiction, there are family fellowships out there that you can get some support from whilst you're away. So there's Al-Anon, there's Co-Anon, there's Fam-Anon. And the thing is everything's online at the moment still. Or I think a lot of meetings are doing hybrid meetings where they've got live meetings with some of them have got internet participation. So, don't be on your own, really. Go to Cocaine Anonymous, plan your holiday. Like Marie and I was saying earlier, it's really important that you do have a plan.
I think the other thing that is particularly at the moment, given everything that's happened recently, there are so many meetings on Zoom that if you have a regular group of meetings, you can Zoom into them, and that's just, that was not something that would have been available in my early days. So that's a real positive. And once you get into this sort of stuff, I think the hardest thing is getting started. Yeah. And fear is such an inhibitor. Being frightened of doing things does stop us. It stops us and stops us and stops us, and it's so difficult. Whereas if we dip our toe in the water, and maybe dipping your toe in the water as a family day out, that you go away from your home, you go away from your routine. It could be, it could be a trip to the zoo. It could be, because if we get sober in whatever form, if we get into recovery, in whatever form that takes, it is about reclaiming if we've lost a life, or actually discovering what's available to us. It's so worth it, and that little bit of planning, or that bit of effort that we put in, will absolutely pay dividends. It's so worth it. And there are I've got so many stories around it. I remember going to a meeting in Barbados and walking through the door, and there were 5 people there that I knew. 5 people. And I was like, I can't tell any secrets here, because obviously I could.
So funny.
The first time after I divorced and went on holiday with my children, I went on my own with my children to Lanzarote for 2 weeks. The kids were still quite young, so I didn't think there was any chance of me getting to a meeting, and I was brave, and there was a note in the, I went with one of the big companies, and there was a note in the handbook, please don't ask. Please don't ask a refusal of, would be offended. Don't ask the kids club reps to babysit. But I went to the head rep and I explained my situation, and I said, if possible, could one of the reps babysit my kids on this? I think the meeting was on a Sunday, and she said, I will ask whoever's off if they're willing to, given the situation. And it was the kids' favourite rep, and she said she'd be delighted to. And I went off to my meeting, so I got that opportunity. And met people there who then came, had coffee with me at the hotel. So that was marvelous. But the bit that makes me smile, the wonderful bit, is that when I went back and went to pay this kids club rep, and they don't get paid a lot of money, she absolutely refused to take money from me. And I will never forget what she said to me. What she said to me is, I don't want any money from you, because you are doing for these children what wasn't done for me.
Oh my gosh, how powerful is that? And do you know something? I mean, what a gift that experience was for her as well, just to be part of that, your efforts and process of getting to a meeting. It gives hope. Every step that we take,
Remember, she was away from her home environment. I can't remember which area of the country she was from, but she was away from her home environment. They only get 1 day a week off, and she chose to spend it with my children. it's just, you know, and I look back on things like that and I think, oh, you know, how did that happen? You know, it's just beautiful, you know, and you know, things do go wrong on holidays. I can remember having a bit of a blowout with my daughter, and you know, Claire knows this, you know, a bit of role reversal. You know, I sometimes call her Safi because she's eminently simple and a bit fighty. You know, I'm like Adina, not drinking, and I stormed out of the apartment in Malta and went flighting off and stormed to a bar and had a coffee and a lemon meringue cake, and I sat there and I thought, oh, you know, I'm going to go back. And I went back sooner than I would have. And the reason I went back is because what went through my mind is I really don't want her to think that I've gone off to have a drink. I was many years sober at that point. And later in the evening, when we'd kissed and made up, I did say to her, you know, I'm really sorry that I flew off like that. And I really didn't, you know, I came back because I didn't want you to think that I'd gone off for a drink. And she looked at me, she went, Mum, it never entered my head.
Oh.
And for me, that's the beauty of long-term sobriety. You know, I'll never ever say that early sobriety is fun. I'll never ever say that it's easy, but it's absolutely worth it for moments like that. Not having a row with your daughter when you're on holiday. I'm not advocating that that's a benefit of sobriety, but those moments of truth, where you can say, I'm sorry, first of all, because that word didn't come out very easily for me in ever. You know, I used to say things like, I'm sorry you feel like that, you know, not I'm sorry. You know, and for her to be able to say that, you know, it did feel good, you know, and like, you know, these are the joys, you know, whether it's on a beach in Malta or you know, or wherever we next end up going. And you know, they're 25 and 22, and we are planning when available to go on holiday as a family. You know, and like, that's like, it's just miraculous, you know.
Yeah.
I use these big words, but that's what it feels like to me. That's what I now have. You know,
Yeah.
it is wonderful, and I will, you know, because of the practice, you know, it's like everything, isn't it? You know, when you're learning to drive, it feels like you'll never be able to do it, and then when you're experienced, you go out in the car and you end up at the supermarket. I was going to brand name, but you know, other supermarkets are available. You know, you end up at the supermarket and you can't think about whether you've, you know, changed gears or when you've pressed the brake, but that, you know, I have routine, I have structure about going on holiday. You know, it becomes natural. You know, it's, you know, I am an advocate for recovery. You know, my hand is well and truly up, and you know, if you think you've got a problem with drinking, you're probably right. And if you know, you'll know who says this back in Manchester. You know, if you think, if you haven't got a problem with drinking, it'd be really easy to give up, and if you have got a problem with drinking, it's going to be really difficult to give up. You know, so if, you know, either way, give it a go, and if it's tough to give up, then you probably should be giving up. And you know, I do a lot of stuff with AA, and one of the things that I have been lucky enough to do is to talk to medical students, and I try to impact them. I try to get them to understand what it's like to be in a body that craves alcohol, a mind that tells you that it'll be all right. And I, you know, I say to them that telling me to stop drinking would be like telling them to just stop breathing on willpower. I didn't know it was possible. I with recovery, I have achieved what I thought was utterly impossible, and it means I can go anywhere and do anything. I can't play the guitar or the piano, or all those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Good if you learn.
That's what we've got Kev for.
Yeah.
So, like, I can go anywhere. I can do anything. I've just thought of another little. Do you want another little holiday story?
Go on.
the first when the kids were really young, I was on the computer looking up meetings in Ireland. I was taking the children to Ireland, and Emily came up and she said, sorry, named her. What are you doing? And I said, I'm looking where the AA meetings are in Ireland. And she looked at me. I think she was probably about 9 or 10. She went, don't be stupid, Mum. And I said, what do you mean? She said, there's no AA meetings in Ireland. And I said, what? Why are you saying that? She said, because they're all drunk.
Oh, bless her. Bless her. And I've got to be honest, there's some cracking meetings in Ireland.
When I was over there, I went to some amazing meetings and I met some absolutely wonderful people. And I've been back in England since June last year, and I'm still in contact with people, because of the wonders of the technology that we now have. Talking of, I'm down to 3% charged, Claire. My
God, you might be losing you as well. Why didn't you plug yourself in, lady?
I am plugged in. It is charging. That's why I'm sitting over here and not where I normally sit. That's why.
Okay. Well, listen, before we go, I mean, because we're nearly at the end of our chat now. So I've loved chatting to you, Marie, and you are an amazing advocate for how much joy and freedom you can have in recovery and fun. We aren't miserable. We aren't a glum lot, to say. There's lots of freedom. But getting back to the holiday, if there's anybody watching this and listen, I've Googled big time travel companies that provide sober holidays. I'm excited to say there is one travel company that I've found, which I've started to look into a little bit more. And I'm going to do a talk with them soon. Thanks to Marie, actually. Marie sent me the article and I read this article. Yeah, and I emailed them straight away and they got back to me straight away. And they're just creating this amazing travel company that does provide sort of dry holidays. I think it's going to be exciting, and it's about time, to be honest, because there are lots of places that you can go. There are retreats that you can go to. We know that there are lots of conventions. So all of the different fellowships, they operate conventions around the world. I've got friends, as Marie has, who go to conventions and have the holidays around the conventions. And Marie Ward, a lovely friend of ours from Scotland, she's sent us a message saying, hello, ladies. Don't forget about the wonderful Sober Hotel and Retreat on the Isle of Man. Thank you for that, Anne-Marie. It's called Somerton Lodge. So there we go. So if there's anybody watching and you have got any retreats that you've been to, or any travel companies that you know of that specialise, or would really want to hear from you, because I think now is a nice time for people, especially if they're in the early stages of recovery and they do want to keep themselves safe and they do want to experience a holiday where recovery is the focus. Retreats are often a great place to start. Top tip, what would your top tip be, Marie? If you're planning on going on holiday, you're new into recovery, what would your top tip be?
What's just crossed my mind?
Yeah.
People don't know. I was just going to say eat chocolate.
Oh gosh, no! Don't eat chocolate.
Well, I suppose in terms of that, eat well. Eat well. Because we can get confused. So eat well. Stay safe. Do safe things. Do fun things. But stay safe. Don't allow, and keep your mind clean. Don't allow your mind to wander into the great triumphs of the past that weren't triumphs. They were, if you think about that thing that Claire and I talked about the fact that we thought we were amongst equals, that everybody was drunk. They weren't. Take a look around you, drink your environment in, and it absolutely isn't worth it. One thing I always say to newly sober women: if you can give me one reason for a drink, I'll come with you and I'll pay the bar bill. I've only ever been able to hear excuses.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think for me, I'd say, if there's anybody watching, I'd say, you know, have a plan. Have a plan. I used to go to great lengths when I was drinking to plan the pubs and bars that I'd be visiting on my holiday. Have a plan of action, a recovery plan of action. You might not even go to any of these meetings. I've been on holidays and not been to meetings, but I've planned to go to meetings just in case, because you never know when this, which is where addiction lies in my mind, you never know when it's going to start chipping away. And I've been on holiday before, having a lovely time, and Kev's drove me insane. And he's not even done anything really. He's probably just lay at the pool a bit funny and not answered me when I wanted a response. But my head can do a number on me. And sometimes I've took myself off to a meeting. So have a plan, access the support that's available, ring AA up, ring CA up before you go, get a contact number for the location that you're going to. Because there's loads of meetings everywhere and there's loads of good people. And even if you don't get to a meeting, you can always ring somebody up whilst you're away.
Have a chat.
You know,
one of the things, I mean, this is a tip, whether you're on holiday or not. If you ring somebody who is in recovery and you don't know what to say to them, ask them how they are. Because we're so good at talking about ourselves.
So good.
Before you you know, and you will start to feel better. You will start to feel better.
I mean, look at us. We've just spent an hour and it's gone like that talking about sober holidays. But I'm really excited though, because I think what we're going to do next, Marie, if you fancy it, we can have a chat with this amazing group that have set up these holidays or are setting up this sober holiday company, and I'm really excited.
Do an on-site visit.
Yes,
I'm at 1%.
Oh, at 1%. Right. Well, listen, we're going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much, Marie. It's been a joy to spend time with you. I hope people out there have got some identification. If you've got any questions, you've got any worries, any concerns, you can always give our helpline a ring. We're always there. The number's at the top of the screen. Please stay safe. Know that you're not on your own, and hopefully we'll see you next week. All right, then.
Lose by giving it a go.
Absolutely, give it a go. Recovery works. Lots of love, Marie. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.